all it takes is a simple thought. There's no work to be done. There's nothing that you have to do but just decide that something is your truth. But if you decide that something is your truth and you physically don't see it yet, okay, the secret ingredient is to keep thinking that it's already happened. Hey y'all, happy New Year's Eve. Before I start the video, I just want to say a few things. I can tell that I am wanting to change up some things. I just don't know what I want to do yet. If you watched yesterday's video, then you saw how I attempted to add my services at the end of the video. And I kind of made a little mistake in there. If you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't, then it's okay. But I am just working on figuring out the best layout that I'm comfortable with for my YouTube videos. I know I had asked a question in my membership about my intro, and everybody said keep the intro, but I don't know. When I start feeling cringy about something, I change it. So I don't know if I want to have an intro. I'm going to figure it out, okay? I just know that I want to change some things up. So that's kind of that's just what I'm doing with these videos, and that's why there's no intro. All it took was for me to not do an intro one time when I had lost my voice, and I don't know, I just felt like it was easier. But then I also correlated to myself, and when I do watch YouTube videos, I usually tend to skip over the intro because I just want to hear what they're talking about. And then if I do allow the intro to play, then it's just because I am saying my affirmations and I'm allowing it to play because I really like the person and I want them to get their total watch hours. But other than that, yeah, I'm just figuring it out. So, just bear with me. But for this video, I do want to talk about out of thin air manifestations. And I want to talk about this video because that is the challenge that we're going to be doing in my membership for the month of January. So I allowed everybody to pick. I threw out some options, and out of thin air was one of them, just because I had quite a few of my membership members telling me things about them wanting to experience out of thin air manifestations. So I figured it would be a really good one to do for January, but I let everybody kind of give me their opinion, and that's what we went with. So for the month of January, if you're interested in doing the out of thin air manifestation challenge with us, it's going to be a 30-day challenge, and I have a Facebook group for the members only, and we just kind of keep track in there. What I did for this month is we did a self-concept challenge, and I did a check-in daily. I fell off after Christmas, not gonna lie, but for the entire month prior to Christmas, I checked in every single day. Letting everybody know, hey, I just completed my session. I just completed my affirmation session. Check in whenever you get done. And it's just a really good way to hold you accountable and help you to be consistent with your manifestations, because no matter what it is that you're manifesting, it works one of two ways. Okay, you either decide that it's done, you decide that it's yours, you decide that you have it now, that's it, and it appears in your reality. Or if you are deciding that it's yours and you don't see it appear instantly in your reality, you just continue to decide, and you continue to decide however you want to, whether you're affirming, visualizing, scripting, meditating, or any other techniques that you want to use. Those techniques are just there to help you to continually decide on having what it is that you want. So you continue to think as that version of you who has what they want. So I feel like the daily check-ins are really good because it just helps you to be aware and be accountable. And sometimes you just need that extra push, or you need that other person to say, hey, I did it too. Did you show up for yourself today? Because I showed up for me today. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about out of thin air manifestations, because I did want to give a little context about that. I've never made a video about it, and it's because I have experienced out of thin air manifestations, but I perceive them as small. They've just been, things that aren't like, oh my gosh, let me tell y'all what just happened to me. But either way, it's still something that appeared out of thin air that doesn't make any sense for how it's in front of me right now, So basically, out of thin air manifestations, what that means is you are manifesting things that appear out of thin air. So you could be looking at a countertop, right? And nothing is there. Nothing is on this countertop. And you go in the other room, you come back out, and something that you were looking for that was missing is just appearing on the countertop. You see this a lot not out of thin air manifestations when you're missing something and then it just randomly appears out of nowhere. It appears in a place that you've looked before, or even when you find money in places that you wouldn't expect to, or somewhere that you just, I know I checked these pockets and there was no money in there before, and now there's $100 bill in there. Those are out of thin air manifestations. And basically, to make it simplified to understand how is this even possible? How do things just appear out of thin air? It goes back to there are infinite realities, there are infinite possibilities, there are infinite versions of you. And I'm really big now on the version of you because it is your reality, it is your world, it is your bubble that you're existing in. So, whatever version of you that you're being, that is what your bubble is showing you. That is how your bubble is going to, that is going to be the theme of your bubble. Who you're being is what your bubble's theme is, okay? So, if you are in a version of yourself, in a reality, a state of being where you don't have $100,000, right? And you want to manifest $100,000 out of thin air. So you start assuming that you have $1,000 in the bank account right now. I can manifest money out of thin air. I have $100,000 in my bank account right now. It just appeared out of thin air. It just showed up in my bank account, right? You're thinking as the person who has already experienced that. So as you continue to think as the person who has already experienced that, guess what? You get this inspired action, this something happens in your reality that leads you to go check your bank account, and you open it up and now you see your balance is over $100,000 in there. And how did it get there? You start to go check your balance. You try to go see all of the transactions, the deposits, and you don't see how the money got there, or maybe it shows how the money was deposited and you have no affiliation with, the way that it says the money was deposited. What it is that money appeared out of thin air for you because you shifted into the version of yourself who received that amount of money. So there is a version of you that exists right now that has $100,000 in their bank account right now. So when you assume that version of yourself right now, I am that person. I have $100,000 in my bank account and it can just appear for me out of thin air. You are shifting to that version of yourself, to that reality where that is already true for you. So to you, it is perceived as out of thin air, but you're just existing as that version of you who already had it in the bank. So there's a version of you, in my opinion, that probably understands and knows how the money got there, but this conscious version of you that decided, I'm going to have $100,000 in the bank account. You don't know how it got there, and guess what? You don't need to know how it got there. Now, I have experienced that before. It wasn't with $100,000 just quite yet, but it was an amount of money and it was in my PayPal account. I had just been affirming occasionally to myself that money just comes to me so easily. And I ended up opening up my PayPal account because I was setting it back up. And I'd always remembered having zero as my balance in the PayPal. And I opened it up and I saw money in there. And I was like, where did this money come from? So now I'm looking, searching, tracing back, and I'm looking at the transaction of where it said it came from. So then I go do my research to find the company. And I'm just like, I've never ordered anything from them. There's no affiliation. Like, I don't know how this money got there, but hey, now I just manifested money out of thin air, right? So it is very much a possible thing, and it's possible because, again, infinite versions of you exist, infinite realities exist, infinite possibilities exist. So the moment you decide that something is true for you, it is true for you, and you shift to that reality, you experience that version of yourself where that is your truth and it is reflected back to you in your reality, okay? And honestly, I feel like you have experienced an out of thin air manifestation. You just either didn't realize it, or you blamed it on coincidence, or, oh my gosh, that's crazy, that's wild, that's impossible, how did this even happen? And you had no way of putting words to it. And I intend that kind of sparks a little light bulb off for some of you all, like, oh my gosh, so it was an out of thin air manifestation that happened. Like, this is your explanation for what happened to you, okay? And I also just want to say that the moment you decide that you are a certain version of yourself, then that is your truth. So if you have never experienced an out of thin air manifestation, you either didn't know about it, it wasn't in your awareness, it wasn't something that you focused on or even thought about, right? All of creation, all of experience, everything comes from the imagination, from your mind, the 4D, if you want to call it that. It all starts here internally, okay? So for you to experience something, yes, you have to think about it. You have to think about it at least one time. So that's what the challenge is all about. That is what it is. It's allowing that to be your perspective. Allow the perspective to be, I experience out of thin air manifestations all the time. It's so easy for me to manifest things out of thin air. Money is always showing up out of thin air for me. My desires always show up out of thin air. I manifested an SP out of thin air. Like whatever it is that you want to manifest out of thin air, you can manifest it out of thin air. You just have to assume that version of yourself. So where before you're like, it's so hard for me to manifest something, it's not working, I can't get what I want. That is just the version of you that you're assuming. So your bubble, your world is reflecting that back to you of how hard it is. So now that you're going to assume the version of you who experiences out of thin air manifestations all of the time, then guess what? You're going to start experiencing so many cool things. Like I've seen so many cool stories of people manifesting things out of thin air. Like I said, mine aren't that miraculous, at least to me, because, I would want like an extravagant story to tell you all. But I also have like a tripod that my phone is on right now. And it came with a little Bluetooth remote clicker. And I rode with my friend. We went out of town. We went on a road trip. I took the tripod with me and I left my clicker in her car. And she told me, "Friend, your clicker is in my car." And I was like, okay, I'm going to get it from her eventually. And I kept telling that to myself, I'm going to get it from her eventually. And I opened up my bag one day and the clicker was in the bag and it's shaped a specific way. So it couldn't have been another clicker from anywhere else. It was the clicker that goes to this tripod. And I sat there and I was confused because I was like, I don't remember her giving this to me. So I messaged her and was like, "Hey, friend, when did you give this to me?" And she didn't remember either. And I know a logical person will probably be like, "Well, that's just because y'all both don't remember, but she probably gave it back to you." It's your reality. You can decide whatever you want. I tend to love the illogical things a lot more, the things that are unexplainable, because manifestation is not logical. Life is not logical. Things are not meant to always be explained and have to be so specific, detailed, and realistic. I just don't believe that. I've never like really been that way. So I just am more prone to be like, well, it appeared out of thin air. It just showed up in my bag. Like, it just appeared. There was a story I read one time, and I don't know where I read it at, but it was a lady who, and I love to tell this story to my friends when I'm explaining this to them, but there was a lady who had a purse, and she was on a trip. I don't know what she was doing. She was on a boat or something, but some kind of way her bag had got damaged with water. And on the trip, she remembers throwing that bag away. Okay. Well, then after some time goes by, she's starts thinking of this bag again, and she starts thinking about it and she's imagining the bag. I don't believe she ever said anything about wanting the bag back. She just was thinking about the bag. And then she goes into her closet one day, she said, and the bag was on the shelf in the closet, molded. The fact that it was molded, like, so she even said she shifted to a version of herself that obviously never threw the bag away and just kept the moldy bag in the closet, but she thought of it. And that just goes to show you, all it takes is a simple thought. There's no work to be done. There's nothing that you have to do but just decide that something is your truth. But if you decide that something is your truth and you physically don't see it yet, okay, the secret ingredient is to keep thinking that it's already happened. You just keep thinking that it's already happened, and somewhere between you and you, because you're the only person blocking yourself, somewhere between you and you finally accept it as your truth, okay? Because I don't really feel like you are having to impress the subconscious. I don't know. I'm still playing around with that belief right now, but I really don't feel like there is this deep impressioning that you have to do in a subconscious. I feel like that's just a belief in itself. So there's nothing other than just deciding. And if you don't see it physically and you're aware of that, then just keep deciding that it's already happened. And the way the law works is it has to happen, okay? So this video was about out of thin air manifestations. If you have any questions for me, leave them down below. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to give y'all these services, because it's a mouthful and I don't want to keep saying it every video if y'all don't need it. I just want to give the information to the people who need it. So if you need any services for me, okay, any coaching, email coaching, phone call coaching, it's in the description below. If you want to join my membership, I have 2 tiers, the Creator Circle and the Group Coaching Circle. They both allow you to join the 30-day challenge. And like I said, like this video is about, out of thin air manifestation. So if you want to join a challenge, you want to be with a group, you want to be able to be held accountable and experience out of thin air manifestations for the month of January, just click the link below. You can click the link below. It's going to take you to my website, and you can either sign up on YouTube or you can sign up on Patreon if YouTube membership is not available in your country. Okay. Other than that, I appreciate you all so very much for being with me. This has been a really great year for me on YouTube. Like, I am so glad from all of y'all's energy, all of your feedback, all of your comments, everything. Like, the energy that y'all pour into me, I literally give it right back to you through these videos. So I appreciate you all so much. For everybody who has liked the video, commented, shared, just showed up and been here with me in any kind of way, I appreciate you so very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really do. But as always, I appreciate y'all for watching this video to the end. Y'all have a happy new year, and I will see y'all in 2025.